Hey guys, how's it going? In today's video I'm going to be installing an outside security light. So I'm going to take you through the process step by step, and hopefully by the end of the video you'll feel confident enough to tackle this job for yourselves. So the first thing you're going to want to do is decide on where you want to mount the light. I'm thinking about mounting it probably above the window somewhere in that section there. So next what you want to do guys is find what type of light you want to go for. I've gone for the Luceco Castra PIR light, and the reason for that is it's got a full range of motion. So not only can you tilt it up and down, it also swivels from left to right, which a lot of the competitors don't have that feature. The way in which it does it is it has a clever little swivel ball joint at the back there. So as you can see, you can get a full range of motion, and it's the same for the PIR at the bottom there. You can tilt that up and down as well as left and right. So now we want to decide on where we're going to take the power from. So ideally you take the power from the lighting circuit. You could also take the power from the socket circuit, but you'd need to install a fuse connection unit for that. The last option, if you don't want to touch electrics at all, you could just mount the light on the wall, thread that through the wall, extend the cable out, and then pop a plug on the end and change the 13 amp fuse out for a 3 amp fuse. So let's go and take a look inside now and see where we're going to take the power from. So first things first, the most important part of this job is safety. So what we want to do is make sure that the circuit we're going to be working on is protected by an RCD, as the security light is getting mounted outside. So as you can see here, there's an RCD right there, and that's protecting this bank of circuits here. So I have decided to take the power from the socket circuit, and the reason being is that socket outlet right there is pretty much on the other side of where I'm wanting to mount the light. So all I need to do is take the face plate off and drill a hole straight through the wall. Now what we want to do is isolate the circuit we're going to be working on. So as you can see here, there's 3 of the MCBs that all say sockets. So it's going to be one of those switches that we need to isolate. So let's find out which one it is now. So here is the socket outlet we're going to be taking our feed from. So I'm just going to plug in my Q-Tech plug tester straight into the socket outlet, pop it on, and you should get an audible tone. Then what we're going to do is go downstairs and turn off the MCBs that say sockets one by one until the sound on this stops. You also want to make sure no one else can access this switch while you're working on the circuit. You can buy an electrician's lock-off toolkit, which prevents someone from turning the switch back on. So next let's go ahead and take the socket faceplate off. So I'm just going to ensure that this circuit is in fact dead using this voltage pen. Now the circuit was still live, it would give you a clear audible tone, and you'd see a constant red light on the voltage pen. So I just wanted to demonstrate that there are other testing options on the market. So on the left here was the voltage pen we just used by Fluke. In the middle is a better option here, we've got a voltage tester by Milwaukee, and on the right hand side is the best option by Martindale. It's GS38 approved, it comes with a voltage indicator and a proven testing unit. And I've already taken the metal tab out, and we're going to be drilling a hole right there. And to take the metal tab out, I just used a small flathead screwdriver and a hammer to pry the tab out. Okay guys, so to begin with, I'll start with an 8mm drill bit as a pilot, and then once it's through the wall, I'll open the hole up with an 18mm drill bit. So the other thing you want to make sure of is when you're drilling, you always draw a slight downwards angle if you're inside the house, to make sure that the moisture always wicks out the fabric of the building and not into the building. And last but not least, it's always good practice to wear some PPE. So I've got some safety glasses, some ear protection and a dust mask. And I've just taken the socket outlet off for now to protect it from dust and debris. So I begin drilling through the wall with an 8mm drill bit at a slightly tilted angle. You want to turn off the hammer drill function on the SDS drill before the drill bit exits the wall. And now I open up the hole with an 18mm drill bit. Now I've just temporarily put some electrical tape inside this metal clad box, so when I push the pipe through the other side I can take a measurement. And just be careful when you're doing this part, because as you can see I've still slightly blown the brick out. Okay, so I've got some 15mm PEX pipe in. I'm just going to push it through the hole. And then just make your mark. And now the pipe is the correct length for the installation. So I'm going to be using a fuse connection unit as I'm taking my feed from the sockets. So next we need to prepare the box. So what you need to do is drill 4 holes in the corners and a larger hole in the middle there. And we also need to change out the fuse in this box for a 3A fuse. Now I'm going to go ahead and drill 4 holes where I'll be putting my screws in to mount the box. Then I get my 20mm spade bit and I drill the centre hole. Next I put in a 20mm grommet for the middle hole. And now I'm using a 3mm drill bit to drill the drain hole. And this just ensures if any moisture gets into the box it has somewhere to go. Now I need to swap out the 13A fuse for a 3A fuse in the fuse connection unit. So I'm going to undo these 4 screws. Then I use a flathead screwdriver to pry on the tab to release the fuse. Then proceed to take out the fuse and replace it with the 3A fuse. Now the fuse connection unit is prepared, I'm going to mount my floodlight. So I've got my Sharpie here and I'm just going to mark 2 holes where the fixings are going to go. Then I drill the holes out with a 6mm drill bit. Then I pop in some red wall plugs and tap them in with a hammer. Then I use my impact gun to fix in the screws. So now that the light is fixed into position we can move on to the fuse connection unit. And so I've just marked my 4 holes with the marksman pen. And I proceed to drill my 4 holes with a 6mm SDS drill bit. And then add in your 4 wall plugs. And tap them in with a hammer. And now you can mount the box back on and start fixing in the screws. Now make sure you have a low torque setting on your impact gun or you could crack the box, or just use a screwdriver. Now I'm going to use a large screwdriver and hammer to punch through the 20mm knockout at the bottom of the box. Now get your 20mm cable gland and insert it through the hole and tighten it down. Next we need a piece of cable to go from the socket to the FCU. Now I'm using a 1.5mm piece of flex as I don't have any twinning earth in the garage. So to prepare the cable I just score around it with a sharp knife and then I just bend it a few times just to break the insulation. Now I need to strip the ends of the cable and I'll demonstrate a few different tools you can use. So here I've got some cable shears. Next some automatic wire strippers. And finally another set of wire strippers with a different design. And now I've got a selection box of ferrules here, and I'm going to use these to crimp the end of the wires. So I pop the ferrule on, and then use the crimping tool to crimp it down tight. And then proceed to do the same method with the other two conductors. Now go ahead and feed the piece of cable through the pipe. So now on the left here we have the feed from the socket, and on the right hand side we've got the feed to the light. So we take the feed from the socket and we put the line in and tighten it down where it says in. Then insert the neutral where it says in and tighten it down. Then place the CPC in the earth terminal and tighten it down. Now grab the cable that feeds the light and place the neutral in the terminal where it says load. Do the same for the line conductor and tighten the screw down. And finally put the CPC in the earth terminal and tighten it down. Now that the connections in the box have been made off, we can use some clear silicone to water tighten the box down. So I inject some silicone into the centre hole there to prevent any water ingress. And then you can just smooth it off with your finger. Now you get these rubber caps that you can put over the screws, or you can just use some silicone instead, which I'm doing here. And then just smooth it off with your finger again. Now that that's done, you can pop the faceplate back on and tighten down the screws. And now that that's done, I'll just go ahead and connect up the cables we've installed. So the line goes right there, CPC there, and neutral there. And once again I get my clear silicone and I try going around the perimeter of the hole with the silicone. And then I inject some clear silicone into the pipe as well. This should ensure a nice watertight seal. So that's nice and waterproof now. And now we can put the socket plate back on to tighten up the screws. There's one and there's the other.
So here's a look at it now it's installed. Just dress the cable in with a couple clips there, 1, 2 and 3, and then just make sure you tighten up the gland nut as well right there, and that's it pretty much complete now.
Right then guys, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video and found it useful in some way. If you did, please consider liking and subscribing to the channel, as there'll be plenty more content coming out in the future, and there should be a pop-up coming on screen now for another one of my videos to go check out. See you later guys.